Hello everyone. Allow me to preface this review by saying I am not affiliated with REVGRIPS. I bought this set of grips on my own. If you are like me and are just trying to get in a fair amount of riding on your BMX for your sanity and have had a lot of injuries and surgeries, these may help you out. I have arthritis in almost every joint. I have had over 9 surgeries and had an unconventional career that left me with some debilitating issues in several spots on my body. I am not complaining. I loved my job. I also love riding BMX and am willing to try just about anything to be able to ride more. Hence, tubeless tires, REVGRIPS, and my bars being incredibly too high. So inside of the box, you'll have your instructions, which are decent, but I will say that these are quite a bit of a pain to put on. Once you got them on, you're good. But and also, if you have chromoly bars, you want to torque them harder than what the recommendation is in the instructions. If you have carbon bars, you probably want to torque it to the manufacturer's recommendation on those carbon bars. So here you got an end cap. This is one of the rubber grommets. That's one of the washers. Here's the grip itself. This is the medium grip. They sell a small and a large grip. I have the large grip on a mountain bike. And here's the other washer. So they're just plastic washers. This would be for less dampening. This would be for more. And then the other dampener here. And then your other locking ring, and then you have this end cap. So the biggest thing that I like about them, if we look right here, this little rubber piece on the inside actually goes against your bar. The plastic of the grip actually doesn't touch your bar. So that's where all the vibration dampening comes from. And then the slight bit of twist that you get in the grip, which is not even noticeable once you start riding. That is what actually gives you the ability to, it's a little bit easier on your wrists, elbows, and shoulders, which helps out quite a bit. So the way you put them together is actually quite interesting. First you put the washer on first, and then you take the rubber dampener on there, and as you can see inside there, that rubber in there is actually sitting against the bar, not the actual plastic itself, so that dampens quite a bit of vibration. And then you would take the end cap or lock-on part of the grip and place that over the rubber. We do the same thing to the other side. So we put on that first, and then again, this has detailed instructions. I'm just going through this. I put on the black, which is the maximum soft. No washer at all would be minimum, would be the firmest, and then these little white ones would be medium firm, and then to have like one white and one black would be like medium soft, but this would be considered in the softest setting. So I want to make sure I match up the bottoms here on the grips. So again, the big thing about putting this thing together is once you get it on the bike and you get the inside tightened down first, make sure you match it to the outside, and really, I tighten it down pretty hard. I mean, their recommendation is pretty soft. It says 15 inch-pounds, which is really nothing. So if you have chromoly bars, remember to lock them down pretty tight. If you have, say, carbon bars, which carbon also dampens vibration as well, you can just use the manufacturer's recommendation on it. If you have titanium bars, go ahead and let her rip, crank them down pretty tight. the last thing you want is these things to come apart on you. So I've pushed on the grip onto the bar all in one piece. Usually I want to tighten this one down first after I get it lined up evenly on the outside of here. So the end cap can be a bit of a pain, so my recommendation is that you just hold on to the rubber and kind of tighten it until you get the rubber kind of fat right here. That way you can just kind of shove it on the bar, then it'll hold while you're trying to finish off the end cap. Like I said, you kind of fatten this up a bit while it's off the bike, so it just kind of pushes in there. You're going to need two hands to do it once you get it all the way in. One to hold on to the outside and the other one to spin the actual tightening screw. You see how the whole thing is spinning? So you're going to want to push your hand on one of these. Unfortunately, I only have one hand going with me. But you just hold on to it and then just rotate it, and it'll tighten that rubber grommet up inside there and push against the inside of the bar. So it feels kind of weird at first when you're rotating these, like off the bike. But once you get on the bike, you don't really even notice. I compare it to, like, you know, if anybody rode motocross out there, how much arm pump you get on your clutch hand and how little arm pump you get on your throttle hand. So things that I notice on bike. So when I'm riding rough track, soft track, slurry track, you know, crushed granite track, doesn't really matter, pump track, I don't notice that they are rotating like this. But what I do notice is that I can ride for a bit longer, and the next morning my elbows and wrists are not on fire as much. So they do have some good dampening properties. I would recommend these for anybody that has a lot of wrist, elbow, and shoulder injuries, just because of it taking some of that vibration out of everything that you're riding, and even some of the impact. Overall, I think the REVGRIPS, it just does a lot more than you think it does, and the really only way that you can tell is by you having bad wrists, or you having bad elbows, or tennis elbow, or golfer's elbow, or something, and you'll be able to tell the difference based off your rides from that. And that's at least what I felt. All right, so thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.